today to do that. But you know how teams are. They're trying to get a jump. They're trying to get a jump on things, and they want to get it done as quickly as possible. But, I mean, it does look like Arthur Smith is pretty much gone, but we don't know yet. Not 100%. But that one was just a bit shocking to me, to be honest, actually seeing that. And it was a lot of things that happened with yesterday's game that just had me just shaking my head in just pure disappointment and just I'm sorry, everybody. I'm trying to find
while you get your words together, let me make sure everybody can hear me now. Now, can you guys hear me in the comment section? Let me know if my sound is coming through loud and clear, because I want to make sure that I am heard here tonight. There's some comments popping up about Arthur Smith right now. Ian says he's interviewing with the Jags. Out of all teams on the night that we lost the playoff game. So, yes, Arthur Smith had an interview on Sunday night after the game. And my thing with that was, you know, if you're going to interview for a job, I have no problem with you interviewing for a job. But there's only two things you can constantly. We've all had job interviews, and we prep for job interviews. And what we do is you have to take time to study that organization, find out what they need, find out what's going on within what their situation is. And for Arthur Smith, you know, for every minute that he took to prep for that job interview, that was minutes, that was hours that he took away from preparing for this ball game. You know,
I agree.
You can't do both. You cannot prep for a game and prep for an interview and do both of them very well. You just can't do it. Something's going to lose. Now they can hear me. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. You're going to lose something if you're trying to think about in the back of your mind, oh, I got to prepare for this ball game. That's why college coaches now, when they want to interview for a job, they usually have to wait till after the bowl game or wait till after the playoffs, because it's a big distraction when you're interviewing for a job and then you're not completing the job that you have at hand. So I don't know how much Arthur Smith really put into this ball game. You look at the amount of first down runs to Derrick Henry that were very unsuccessful. But every time he threw the ball on first down with Tannehill, it was very successful. So why would you go away from that? It made no sense at all. So I really think Arthur Smith, you know, just obviously not on purpose. He loves his job. He loves this team. But he also has to think about himself, and he also has to prepare for that next opportunity. And I think that just rubbed me the wrong way this morning that I saw that he had an interview last night on the same day that he has a playoff game.
I definitely hear what you're saying on that. And I mean, I think, again, like I said earlier, it just kind of took me back. It took me aback for a second because I'm thinking, whoa, wait a minute. We just got done with the game. We just lost a game that we probably should have won. And you out here interviewing that night? I'm like, that kind of got me the wrong way. Again, I'm with you. I understand that, you know, he's getting opportunities and he deserves it because he really did come from the ground up. He came from the bottom up. But I mean, what I kind of thought would have been a theory that would have happened. I mean, you know, an old saying goes, you're only as good as your last game. And if this is his last game as offensive coordinator, he didn't do very well in this one. I mean, if you really think about it, number one, I agree. 18 carries for 40 yards for Derrick Henry. But in the fourth quarter, you really don't give him the ball. You keep him off the field on 3rd and 4 and shorter. I mean, those are prime Derrick Henry downs. Third, you know, if it's 4 yards or less on any down, he should be in there. for the simple at least even for the simple illusion that he's going to get the ball, because the Ravens sold out. The Ravens basically said, if nothing else, we are going to make sure Derrick Henry does not beat us down. And then when they went to AJ, it just seemed like that was his first and only read. You know, a lot of people are harping on Corey Davis. They didn't throw to Corey Davis much at all in this game. They didn't go to Jonnu much. And, I mean, he had one good play to Anthony Firkser and really didn't do that. I mean, in the passing game, it seemed like it was A.J. Brown and nobody else. That's what it seemed. And it seemed if it didn't work with A.J., it wasn't going to work with anybody else. I found that to be very disappointing. You know, I think at the same time, but I do have to give credit where it's due. The Ravens defensive line is what the Titans defensive line should have been. That's what they should have been. And, you know, having Brandon Williams, Brandon Williams and Calais Campbell paid big dividends. And Justin Madubuike, who I really wanted in the draft. I wanted Justin Madubuike in the draft, and they paid dividends. They basically dominated on both sides of the ball in the trenches. And, yeah, this is just Arthur Smith's worst possible game, and didn't really make any adjustments, especially when they went from more of a man to more of a zone.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And for those of you who did not hear me in the open, what I was saying was, if you would have told me before the game that the Titans defense would hold the Ravens to under 200 yards passing, only give up 20 points, have 5 sacks, and that we would have a 10-0 lead in the first quarter, you could have sold me for a penny that we would have lost that game. All those keys are what I talked about in my pregame show Sunday morning before the game. If everybody tuned into that, those were all the keys. If the Titans get out to a good lead, if the defense does their job and holds the Ravens to 24 points, there's no way the Titans are going to lose this football game. But somehow, some way, they lost the game. Now, we only have Blue Enforcer for a few more minutes. We're going to get into a couple other aspects of the ball game. On my show, we always talk about the good, the bad, the concerning. There was a lot of all three in the ball game yesterday. There was some good. We'll start off with the good. And the good, my friend, was the first quarter. The Titans looked very, very good in that first quarter. When you look at these first quarter numbers, 126 yards of total offense. We had a 10-0 lead. We held the Ravens to only 36 yards of total offense in that first quarter. What were your thoughts when you seen the way the Titans came out? We had a 3-and-out, but we held them to a 3-and-out. Then we go down, we get a touchdown, we get an interception, we go down and get another field goal. I wish we could have gotten a touchdown out of that. I think that really would have put a lot of pressure on the Ravens. But your thoughts on the first quarter? I thought the first quarter was excellent for the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I think the Titans came out and they established dominance early, and they really, they came out fired up, came out with energy on both sides of the ball, and got off to a very good start. I don't know where the heck that went the other 3 quarters of the game, but in that first quarter, they really took it to the Ravens, especially, when A.J. Brown got him going early, got him that touchdown to begin the game. And, I think one of the points that kind of messed us up, where we got stopped a bit on that second drive, on that third drive we had, we ended up kicking a field goal instead of getting a touchdown, which could have gotten us up 14-0 instead of 10-0. But you're thinking at 10-0, you're off to a good start. But as we all know, that was kind of where the wheels fell off a little bit. And defensively, they were homed in. They did a very good job making sure that Lamar Jackson didn't just go off and, take the option and everything. Like, there was a particular play in particular where Lamar was going off to his left. He was going off to his left, and I believe on the TV dial, he was going from right to left. He was going to his left, and it looked like he was going to pitch. And the good thing was Desmond King, he almost slipped, but he stayed home. He stayed home and forced him back inside, and they was able to make the tackle and did not go toward the pitch man. So they played, and that was one of my keys, was just know your assignments and do your job. And early on, the defense was doing that. And in a little bit of ways, so were the offense. Even though Derrick Henry really couldn't get started, we figured he would get stronger as the game goes on. First quarter was good, just not the rest of it.
Right. Trilogy Taylor got in. He says it was doom and gloom for me yesterday, but he's proud of the season. Tighten up. We're all proud of the season that they had. It was just the first quarter was great, but as you said, after that, things just kind of got out of hand. And it was the last play of that first quarter for me. And I put out a tweet when it happened. It was 3rd and I believe 10.
Yeah.
And Adoree Jackson came in on a corner blitz.
And he hesitated.
Like he was going to sack him. And then Jackson escaped outside, got to the right to the sideline. I thought he was going to throw it out of bounds. And he threw a dart right down the field and got that completion. And that got that first down for them. And then you had the quarter change. And I tweeted right at that moment. I said, huge completion for Jackson to end the quarter. Big play for the Ravens. I thought that was the turning point in the ball game. Some of the energy came out of the stadium. Some of the energy came out of the players because you had that 3-minute delay for the TV commercial and then walking down to the other end of the field. So a lot of that energy, I think, that the team had in the first quarter, they lost it going into the second quarter, and then the Ravens really took over in that second period.
Yeah, and I mean, and on that particular play, I remember that Jackson was coming, Adoree's coming in on a blitz, and it seemed like for just a quick second, he hesitated, he stopped. And it seemed like he stopped because he was afraid that Lamar was gonna go outside of him. I'm thinking, look, you got a clean shot at him, and you're just as fast as he is. Go full in on him. Go get him. Don't go there and then just stop, like, which way is he going? Which way is he going? And you're right. When he got to the sideline, I think he's going to throw it away. That was a major 3rd down. If he throws it away or you get him off the field, incomplete pass or anything like that, they're punting the ball back to you to start the second quarter up 10-0 with a chance to really go either 13-0 or 17-0 and really blow this game open a little. And I mean, it was, I saw that when you tweeted it. That was the beginning of the turn. And that's kind of when, like you said, the wheels fell off.
Right. So now let's look at the numbers at halftime. So in the first quarter, you saw how much the Titans dominated. Had 126 yards of total offense. Look down in this bottom right-hand corner. Titans only had 119 yards at halftime. They had -7 yards in the second quarter. Only 1 first down in the first quarter. And then look over to your left, to the Ravens. 4 out of 7 on 3rd down. They're starting to get their 3rd down efficiency up. 105 yards rushing. Lamar Jackson starting to move the football. 170 total yards, even though that last column on the right, the Titans had 4 sacks in the first half, but still could not hold on to the lead because they still could not get off the field on 3rd down.
And I want to say that Lamar Jackson touchdown run, I believe, was on 3rd down, if I'm not mistaken, because they were doing a very good job of containing him. And the only problem with that particular play, they were coming, and Landry just couldn't get to him, and Jeffrey Simmons just missed him. Like, he was about to put his hand on him. Lamar steps up, gets in, and it was kind of a parting of where that whole middle grass was wide open. You would think that there might have been a spy, maybe like a David Long or somebody spying in the middle, just to make sure if he steps up into the middle right there, you got somebody right there to either force him left or force him right into more help. And Lamar had that open field to go at, and K. Byard, doesn't step into the hole, doesn't step up correctly. He doesn't, get square. He's kind of turned inside, kind of to his left, and then Lamar was able to make a move on him, and Vaccaro and Adoree took bad angles. That led to that touchdown. So, I mean, it was messed up. And Ty Nublo just said it. It was on 3rd and 9. Yep. And, I mean, that particular play really took the wind out of our sails, and that was the turning point. I thought to myself, I'm like, I saw the touchdown, I'm like, oh, no, don't let it. We done let him get started. And that's what happened.
Clowney Super Bowl in here, he said Malcolm Butler is greater than Adoree Jackson.
I think
Malcolm Butler is by far the best cornerback on the team, and we have to make sure that we bring him back next year. Of course, Adoree will be back because we picked up his 5th-year option. Hopefully, he will get healthy in the offseason. He missed 13 games due to injury. Mike Vrabel was asked about that, among other things, in the press conference today. He would not elaborate on anybody's injuries. Reporters even asked him about Adam Humphries, just simply, how's he doing? Is he getting better? Vrabel would not even answer those questions. The only thing he would say is, well, he's still in concussion protocol. Well, duh, Mike Vrabel, we know he's in concussion protocol.
For a month?
We're just concerned as reporters, as fans, as people that cover the team. We just want to know how these guys are doing. We're not trying to get into their personal business. We care about these guys because we watch them every Sunday. We live vicariously through them, and we want to know how their health and well-being is. It's not a problem to answer that question. He could have simply said, well, yeah, Adam's getting better. We hope to have him back next year. Wouldn't give any information at all on Adoree because Adoree did not have a good game yesterday.
No, he didn't.
Played well last week against Houston, but, you missed 13 weeks. You're not going to be the same ball player.
Yeah, and I agree with that because, I mean, obviously he was tasked with stopping Hollywood Brown, because that guy is ultra fast. So you figure Adoree's the fastest corner we got, and you thought that might happen, but Marquise Brown was kind of doing his thing. A bit, had over 100 yards receiving. And, I mean, Malcolm Butler, I think, should be brought back if at a pretty good, price or whatever. And another thing that surprised me, Christian Fulton was dressed. He didn't get on the field not one snap in this entire game. And that kind of shocked me a bit too. I'm thinking, get your second round corner on the field. Let him get some playoff experience as well. I mean, he's got to learn. I mean, this might be a good time for him.
I don't know if you want him learning in a wild card playoff game.
Yeah.
They put Desmond King kind of as a rover, where he was almost like a third linebacker to utilize his speed against Lamar Jackson. He kind of played the role that Logan Ryan played last year in that spot. So I think that's why they didn't have Christian Fulton in there. They wanted somebody with a little bit more veteran experience. And to your point, I thought Desmond King did a really good job playing that role yesterday. It's just that Lamar Jackson is so good that, sometimes he's able to just break containment. And Ian brought up a very good point. That Lamar touchdown before halftime, it was similar to Mahomes' run last year in the AFC Championship game. Mahomes did it down the sideline, but Lamar took off right up the middle, and it looked like he just went right past Kevin Byard. He left him standing in quicksand, and nobody else was fast enough to catch him.
Yeah, that much is definitely true. And going back to that is a very similar play. Exactly, because, I mean, it took momentum away from us. We're up, 10-3 at that point. And, if we could stop them, get the ball back, maybe go up 14 or 17-3. Same thing in Kansas City. We're up 17-7. He scored that touchdown. It kind of turned it around for him. And, speaking of trying to find out about players, of course, with Adam Humphries and with Adoree, they were asked about Corey. It's like he wouldn't go into that either. It's like I say this all the time. Vrabel speaks fluent Belichickian. He does a whole lot of talking, but it's not saying anything. It's like he'll do all this talking, but he's not telling you anything that you want to know. He's not saying, well, Corey, he got injured on this particular play, or he had something with a knee or something with an ankle or anything like that. Or they didn't say, I'm like, if you benched them for some reason, just say you benched them. I'm like, come on, tell us the truth. You ain't got to beat around the bush with us. And I didn't like the fact that that there were some people in the media that just did not press him on that. I'm thinking the season's over. What do you got to hide? Why you got to protect somebody? Just tell us the truth. We can take it.
I tweeted that out today during the press conference. PK, Paul Kahersky, I hope I pronounced his last name correct.
Yeah,
Kahersky. He was the only one asking tough questions in that press conference today. Everybody else is asking softball questions, scared to approach the coach. We know Vrabel's not going to give us anything, but you have to ask the questions. And I give credit to PK for answering the questions today. Devin had a comment, did we lose respect for Lamar because he did? I did not lose respect for anybody from the Baltimore Ravens yesterday. I didn't care that they stomped on our logo. I don't care that Lamar Jackson ran into the locker room without shaking hands. That is a bitter rivalry between the Titans and the Ravens. The Titans have done things to other teams that they can deem disrespectful. CJ2K, a few years ago in Dallas, he stood on the star when he scored a touchdown. Okay. Kevin Byard,
twice we did that.
Kevin Byard danced on the star. The whole defense was dancing on the Cowboys star on that Monday night or Sunday night football game 3 or 4 years ago. Okay.
I remember that.
Disrespecting teams' logos in pregame. Okay. So we can't get salty when they stomp on our logo and they don't want to shake our hands. You want to end that nonsense? Win the game. That's the same way I feel about baseball pitchers throwing at hitters because they hit a home run and they stare at the ball. Strike it out if you don't want them to stare at the ball. So, no, I did not lose respect for Lamar Jackson.
I mean, I think Lamar could have shook hands or whatever, but Lamar was like, look, this game is over. I need to get on out of here. I'm going to go celebrate and things like that. And like you said, I mean, I wouldn't want to be shaking hands with a rival that I don't like. I mean, many people that know me, Tighten Up Low, Ian, they know me. They know how much I hate the Patriots with a passion, and I can't stand them. But now I told my wife this, I want to say yesterday. I said, I think I might have found myself a team that I could hate just as much as the Patriots, and that's going to be these ratbird Baltimore Ravens. I'm starting to really not like them at all. And the fact of the matter is, you know what? I want to say we got to go. Well, no, that's Pittsburgh, not Baltimore. We got to play next season. I'm like, look, we get our shot. We did it to them earlier. I stop on their logo too if we're winning. So the fact of the matter is, hey, like you said, you want that to stop? Beat them on the scoreboard. That'll shut them up. That's all we got to do. And so this is a bitter rivalry, and I think the league is going to take notice of this. So the next time the Titans and Ravens play, I think it's a very good chance it's probably going to be some primetime television because we know this is a bitter rivalry. We know these two teams absolutely don't like each other, and fan bases don't like each other either because I had a lot of Ravens fans in on my post game last night. Basically I said, look, I give my congrats to the Ravens. They won the game. But at the same time, I will say this. They're not 7 points better than us. Yes, y'all got the win. But that's too even of a matchup. The next time, we could be the victors going forward.
All right. Well, let's look at these final game stats to conclude this particular segment. And then, of course, Final numbers, we talked about third downs at the top. Titans needed to hold them to about 40%. Again, 7 out of 13, over 50%. Titans were only 4 of 12 on third down. That was very, very disappointing. And then you look down at the bottom, the total yards, 209 total yards for the Titans. That means we only had 83 yards of total offense after the first quarter. The Ravens end up with 401 yards of total offense. The Titans end up with 5 sacks, the most on the season. But again, we still found a way to lose that ball game. And looking at those final numbers, the Ravens ran 59 plays. The Titans only ran 48 plays. And again, to me, that comes back to Arthur Smith running the ball so much on first down and really putting us behind the sticks where we really didn't have a lot of options open to us. And one thing I was very disappointed in, one of the many things I was very disappointed in, is the lack of not calling that zone read on third and short.
Or the read option.
Keep the ball, the read option. That play has been successful every single time
Sure has
done it this season. And for whatever reason, Arthur Smith took it out of the playbook this week. And I don't understand why. And that really had me ticked off.
I agree. I was thinking about that myself. And all I kept thinking is, where's the read option to fake the Derrick Henry and Tannehill runs it? I'm like, that has worked every single. I don't remember one time where that play has not worked. I honestly don't. I know Austin Stanley from A to Z Sports, they talk about, how they're sick of that whole toss play, how they sick of that whole toss play. I'm like, I don't like the fact they didn't run any read option. I would have ran that on the drive where he punted on 4th and 2 instead of going for it. That would have been the perfect situation to run that read option. Run that on 4th and 2. It works every time. And instead, Tannehill probably could be running free either for first down or into the end zone. That would have changed the game if they ran that play. I don't know how or why they didn't do that. And I don't even know how or why Vrabel didn't go for it on that 4th down. That really ticked me off. That really had me angry and fired up for some reason. Vrabel basically, he made some mistake. He didn't learn from some of his mistakes from before. They didn't go with what worked. They went away from what was working, and it cost them.
Well, my man, I know you said you had half an hour. I'm about to get into that 4th and 2 discussion. If you
want to stay
on,
I can stick a little bit longer because I definitely want to talk about that. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, so we're going to keep the Blue Enforcer a few more moments. We're going to talk about this 4th and 2 situation. And here's what I tweeted when it happened. I was done. You punt on 4th and 2. It made absolutely no sense. It went against every DNA trait that Mike Vrabel has shown since he has been the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. When they went to London 2 years ago, when this team was trying to learn how to win football games, they went down and scored a touchdown, last play of the game. They could have kicked the extra point to go into overtime. Vrabel said, no, we're going to go for 2 because we're always going to go for the win as long as I'm the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. We're not going to play to lose. We're going to play to win. And that was a culture setter, even though we ended up losing that football game. But then he comes back yesterday on 4th and 2, and he decides that he's going to punt the football away to Lamar Jackson, who over the last 2.5 quarters has been shredding our defense running the football, not throwing the football, hadn't put a lot of points on the scoreboard, but they're dominating yardage and they're dominating time of possession. Your thoughts on the 4th and 2 decision?
Well, just like I was mentioning, that just really ticked me off because I'm thinking to myself, you had Derrick Henry's best run of the day on first down at 8 yards, and then you took him off the field, 2nd and 2, 3rd and 2, and Derrick Henry's not on the field at all. That's the first thing I noticed on that whole sequence right there had me messed up. And I mean, don't get me wrong, and I want to say on that particular play, on 3rd and 2 with Jonnu, he threw that quick out to Jonnu, and Jonnu should have caught the ball, but again, that was just a picture perfect play by Elliott, the safety on the Ravens side, to knock that ball out before Jonnu really had good completion of it. And someone was mentioning that on that particular play, he didn't even look at Cameron Batson. Batson is wide open in the middle. Probably gets about 7, already gets the first down, and probably had room to get it down inside of the 10-yard line if he just throws it to him. And, that would have not set up a 4th and 2. It would have been 1st and 10, maybe inside of the 10, inside of the 20-yard line, and we're still moving. On the 4th and 2, I'm thinking to myself, and I saw that index where this was like the first time ever where somebody punts on a 4th and 2, you're down by a score in the fourth quarter, and you punt the football. Probably because he was thinking, you know what, we got the best punter in the league. Let's pin him inside the 10-yard line, make him go 90 yards. And like you said, Ken, I understand, yes, using our punter as a weapon, but in that instance, that means you were playing not to lose. And we've seen that with Wisenhunt his whole time here. He played not to lose instead of play to win. And what happens when you play not to lose?
You lose.
You lose. Exactly. When you are so scared. I mean, and that's the word that's 2 words that I want to describe. One part was scared. We played scared. We were playing tight. We played not to lose, and we lost. Plain and simple. If you got to go for that in that situation, you go for the win. If you don't make it, it's like, hey, we tried to go for it. We tried to go for it. You're too close for a punt. You're too far away for a field goal. It's only 2 yards. Give the ball to Derrick Henry and let him get the 2 yards. Or do the read option with Tannehill. Let him get the 2 yards. Get the slant to Corey Davis. Get the 2 yards. 2 yards is easy to get. I could have gotten the first down on 2 yards. I could have done that.
Here's the numbers you were talking about, man. Over the last 4 years, there have been 76 instances of a team trailing in the fourth quarter, facing 4th and 2 or less between the opponent's 35 and midfield. 75 times teams went for it in that situation. The one team that punted, the Titans, yesterday.
Now, we don't know the percentage. Now, we don't know the percentage of how that worked, but theory says you go for that because there's a pretty good chance you're probably going to get it. It's 4th and 2. And again, they're probably going to stack it saying they're going to give the ball to Henry, stop him. That would have been the perfect situation to run that little read option, and Tannehill escapes and just scoops it on in there. Going for it made too much sense, and we didn't do it.
It was shocking to me when it happened, and I want you guys to get in the comment section. Did the decision to punt on 4th and 2 cost the Titans the game? Did that decision cost the Titans the ball game? And that's the question that we have for everyone. And for me, in and of itself, it didn't cost us the ball game, but what it did, it severely limited our chances of winning. Because Brett Kern, bless his heart, he's one of the best punters in the NFL. That was not a good punt. It only got, I believe, to the 15-yard line when you wanted that ball to go inside the 10. The Ravens immediately drove downfield, ended up getting a field goal. And then now we're trying to battle against their defense to go 75 yards and get a touchdown without Corey Davis. So in your
Mm-hmm.
mind, if you're the coach and you know that Corey Davis is unavailable, you need to go ahead and try to get points as quickly as you can.
Yeah. Because, I mean, think about this. In that situation, I mean, I would have even faked it. I would have even tried to go for a fake. Maybe do a little run or something like that. Catch them off guard or something like that if you see a look you like. Other than that, I would have called a timeout maybe in that situation, collect my thoughts, be like, you know what? I'm going to put a play together, put my horses, go with my horses that brought me to the dance, and let's go win this game. And you saw what happened there. It's 17-13. You realize if you go for it, you get it, you score a touchdown, we're up 20-17. We go up. And at worst, if we get a field goal, it's a 1-point game. It's a 1-point game. You're in it. You got the Ravens thinking. And it's like they can't just sit on it. They can't just sit on it and run it all out. So I felt like we played scared. And I see you coming from Rocky Yit. Yeah, that was right after Tucker missed a big field goal. And Tucker never misses. And we didn't take advantage of that.
Absolutely. You get Tucker to miss. I mean, that's a blessing for Tucker to miss that field goal. And then you get a short field and you get one first down. Derek ran for 8 yards. I don't know if he had, on the television, they said that he had something was going on with his shoe. I'm not sure what the situation was.
I don't know.
But even if your backup running back, if McNichols can't pick up 2 yards, then he shouldn't be on the team. You should have Deontay Foreman activated yesterday. I said that in pregame.
No, he wasn't.
Foreman activated, and he was deactivated. So if your backup running back can't pick up 2 yards, he shouldn't be active. He shouldn't be part of the 53-man roster. So let's look at some of these comments. Big O Titan finally getting in to catch a live show. The team outkicked its coverage, spent some money in free agency and impact players. We're going to talk about free agency a little bit later in the show. Trilogy Taylor absolutely cost us. But part is the 2nd and 2, the 3rd and 2 play calls were terrible play calls as well. And then Ian back in, not having Henry in on that 3rd and 2, not going for it on 4th and 2 were detrimental. All of that was very detrimental and a huge, huge reason why the Titans had to take that L yesterday. And again, Vrabel, people did ask him about that. Paul asked him about that in the presser today. Of course, he didn't have a legitimate answer. We play to win. We try to figure out how the ball game is going and whatnot. But if you don't have Corey Davis available and all you have is A.J. Brown and Westbrook Akina and Khalif Raymond, and oh my God, that interception to Khalif Raymond. Yeah. What was Tannehill doing? Why are you throwing the ball to Khalif Raymond? Khalif Raymond hadn't caught a pass in I don't know when.
In 2 months. And I heard about this too. The last time he caught a pass, I heard this on the radio today, was against Cincinnati. That was the last time he caught a pass. And he hasn't caught a pass since then. And I'm with you on that. It was that because I haven't went back and watched the play, but from what I heard, AJ beat his man. I'm like, the one time you don't even look to AJ, you look to AJ the whole game, and you don't look to him now in crunch time. In crunch time, I'm going to AJ, or I'm going to Jonnu, or I'm going to Ferkser. I'm going to somebody else other than Khalif Raymond. And Nick Westbrook-Akina, what the heck is he doing on the field? Now, granted, he caught 2 passes, so I'll give him that. Yes, he caught both of his passes. Batson, you could have used him more as a speed guy. AJ beats his man. If nobody's behind him, he either get a big gain or a touchdown in that situation. And it was that. And, you notice where, Corey was on the bench like this. He was on the bench, no helmet. You saw Vrabel kind of, I don't know, John and Henry. Henry probably looked like he didn't want to talk. So I think a question I wanted to ask you was, did it look like for just that moment, it looked like Vrabel kind of lost the team a little bit. At least just in that instant. I ain't saying fully he's lost the team. I'm just saying in that moment during the game, it sounded like he kind of lost the team for that moment. Am I crazy to kind of think that?
No, it was something going on the sideline. Derrick Henry was obviously frustrated about something. I don't know if he was frustrated about the play calling. I don't know if he was frustrated with the offensive line. I'm not sure why that, we haven't really seen that type of tenor on the sideline between
Mm-hmm.
Vrabel and Henry, where Vrabel's trying to calm him down. Maybe it was something the Ravens did to Henry and he was trying to get Henry to shake it off and not
Mm-hmm.
retaliate. A lot of things goes on at the bottom of piles that we're not privy to. And we
True.
both play football and we know that the other team can get under your skin. So it
Yep.
may have been a situation where Vrabel was just trying to calm Henry down. We didn't see Henry really coming back at him. Henry was just kind of taking it in, listening. He was responding a little bit, but I think
Mm-hmm.
everything is fine as far as that things happen on the sideline in the midst of battle. But a lot of people were talking about Corey Davis today on a lot of media chats that Corey gave up on the team and Corey quit on the team. That is far not the case.
I agree.
Vrabel talked about it. He clarified it in the press conference today. And he said if Corey was available to play, he would have finished the ball game. Period.
Yeah.
End of story. He wasn't going to discuss the injury. So we don't know what the injury was to Corey, but apparently he was injured. And that is the reason why he did not finish the ball game.
Right. So that definitely clarified it a bit from me on that, because I was wondering that too. I'm like, biggest drive, season defining, and one of our top receivers is not in there. I'm like, what's going on? So, now that that's clarified, I understand that. But yeah, that interception, yeah, that was probably one of Tannehill's dumbest decisions. And I mean, don't get me wrong, love Tannehill for everything that he's done, and he's done a great job all season. But that particular play summed up the entire day. It was indicative of how the entire day went, and how, I just, if you saw my post game, I really couldn't find many ways to be happy about what transpired and really what this entire season meant, to be honest.
The entire season for me, it was a disappointment, man. I mean, I'm not big on division championships. Yeah, it's nice to go to Academy or the NFL store and buy a shirt and wear it around all summer, saying that your team won the AFC South. We haven't won one since 2008. So that's cool and all. But I would be a hypocrite if I was dancing about a division title because I'm from Houston, Texas. And that's all they celebrate in Houston, Texas is division championships with the
Mhm.
Texans. That's all they brag about. And they've never been to an AFC championship game, never been to a Super Bowl. So I would be a hypocrite to say, hey, yay, I'm happy about a division championship when we're one and done in the playoffs. And our whole goal was to win the division to have a home playoff game, to have a
I
home
agree.
playoff game for those fans in Nashville. Nashville allowed the most fans of any stadium to come this weekend. Over 14,000 fans at that football game yesterday in the middle of a pandemic. And for the team to jump out to a 10-0 lead and still not have the wherewithal to hold that lead, and the way that they lost that game in the fourth quarter by not being aggressive, that's really what stings for me. And that's what really puts a sour taste in my mouth going into the offseason.
I agree. And I mean, I'll go a step further than that. And I said this on my show on my post game last night. What was 2020 for me? It was a massive failure. I know there's a lot of people that will say, you know, oh, the Titans had a, you gotta say the Titans did good. They had a good season. My mom tried to tell me that. She was like, they did good. They had a good season. I'm like, no, no, no. I'm like, no, I'm not finna be like that. We tell the truth. The truth of the matter is, yes, for that whole week leading up to this game, yes, winning the division title was great. Celebrated that. But losing this game in the first round, bounced in the first round, it makes that division title practically meaningless to me. You do all of that to get to where you win a division title and host a home playoff game. That is a step to get to the Super Bowl and make it an easier road, yet you squandered that opportunity and you lost. So it was a massive failure. And I'm not just talking about, just this entire season. I mean, 11-5, hey, I'm not going to lie. That's great. We got over the 9-7 curse. That's good too. But in the end, our season's over when it shouldn't be. And it also goes back to the previous offseason where the failure began. And we could put a lot of stuff on Arthur Smith and on Mike Vrabel, but a lot of blame also needs to go towards John Robinson. He stunk this offseason. And I think, and anybody that says that he didn't and give him the benefit of the doubt, you're lying to yourself. Yes, he tried to go get Clowney and Beasley. That didn't work. You got absolutely nothing out of this draft class. You don't re-sign Logan Ryan when you should have. I understood the Jarrell Casey trade, even though it hurt my heart. It hurt my soul to see Jarrell go. I understand why, but it shouldn't have happened that way. But at the end of the day, you didn't get to where you're going, where you were supposed to go, and this was a failure. Plain and simple as that.
Absolutely, brother. And let's not forget the biggest bust of them all, and that was Isaiah Wilson. Vrabel was asked today. I don't know if you saw the presser. He was
I
asked
heard it.
today about Isaiah Wilson. And Vrabel said, and I'm paraphrasing, I cannot comment on Isaiah Wilson because I cannot eloquently put together the words to describe the situation.
That tells you right there. That tells you right there. It's like he's not. I will be shocked if he is on this roster next season. If he even makes the 53 next season. I know we'll have to eat some money, but I would be, I'm going to use a crazy word, flabbergasted if he's on this roster next season.
Yeah, man, I would be too. I think they're going to try to find a way to get out of that contract, maybe breach of contract, or maybe if he violated some of the things in that contract, where they can try to save some money financially against the salary cap. Um, Vrabel also mentioned that he wants to find players that love football. Clearly, Isaiah Wilson and Vic Beasley did not love football. I think most of us saw that Big Beasley did not love football in Atlanta. Why we signed him in the offseason, I have no idea. Now, I love the signing of Clowney, primarily because I got the information first before anybody else did. But I also love the idea of having Clowney on the roster because I thought he would be able to bring some tenacity. And remember, Clowney's only 27 years old. We think of Clowney as being around for 10 years. Clowney's only been around for, I believe this was his sixth or seventh year in the league. So he's still a relatively young guy in football years. I don't expect the Titans to bring him back next year, but I wouldn't be shocked if they did, if they could come to agreement on some type of small incentive-laced deal. But we'll take a quick look at the Titans free agents for next year. And here's a look at some of them right now. And these are some of the guys that the Titans are going to have to make decision on. If they want to bring some of these guys back. Clowney, Daquan Jones, of course, Corey Davis, Gostkowski, Pruitt. Jack Crawford, to name a few. Those are a couple of the guys. Your thoughts on this list, and we have a second page as well, but this initial list right here, who would you want back off of this list if it works salary cap wise?
I mean, and I'll say this, and then I'll probably jet off in a moment.
Yes,
But
sir.
I mean, um, I would say if you could get Corey Davis back at a reasonable deal, maybe, even though this last game left a sour taste in all of our mouths. Clowney, yes, I think even though Clowney didn't get no sacks and it was disappointing, I would do that deal 10 times out of 10 again. And this is why, and I know people will say I'm crazy. At least with Clowney, he tried. Clowney was trying. He at least was giving some effort. He at least was giving a damn. Excuse me. But you could tell Vic Beasley checked out the second he signed and everything. He didn't even try to come to camp on time or anything. Clowney, as soon as he signed, was there. He was trying. He was giving effort. I will never, ever take that away from Clowney. I know that doesn't mean anything, but he was giving effort. Daquan, maybe if we put him at the nose or something like that. I think I've been saying it all year. Jeffrey Simmons needs a true running mate to play on the other side. Maybe put Daquan in the middle. But Simmons needs a running mate.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I wouldn't have a problem bringing Clowney back, and we'll discuss this a little bit further with everybody else remaining in the chat. But I know you got to get out of here, my brother. I want to thank you for helping me out this season. Best of luck to you. Let the people know where you are, what you have planned for the off season, and what shows you may have coming up throughout the rest of the playoffs and into the draft. What do you have going on for the remainder of 2021?
Well, as some of you know, and if you don't know, you can always check me out. Search Titans and Truth on YouTube, the channel. Definitely make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Help me get to 1,000. Help me get there. I'm trying to get there. We're gonna get Ken there too. Also on Facebook at TNT Enforcers. On Instagram at Titans_N_Truth. On Twitter at TNT Blue Enforcer. I will be doing a show, a season award show on Wednesday, giving out awards. Most valuable Titan, who was the dunce of the year, even though we know Isaiah Wilson will probably be the dunce of the year. I'm talking about who played. We're not talking about Isaiah Wilson. We know that's an easy one. But we'll also start taking a look going into the off season. As far after that, I'm probably going to end up taking a break, maybe for a few weeks. I may do a show centered around the Super Bowl when it comes up. I may do a small, quick show maybe after the Senior Bowl if I hear anything about that. But probably the next time after that, I may do a couple of little here and there, maybe talking about some things with Titan teams of the past. And some little interesting little nuggets about some of the guys or some of the teams that we've had, and really just gearing up for the combine. That's probably when I'm gonna start coming back. I may do some mock drafts, maybe right after the Senior Bowl. Maybe do a couple of little, maybe a fun mock draft or two, just to have a little fun. I'll let y'all know more of what I plan to do. So be on the lookout for any updates or any announcements. Ken, I appreciate you for everything you done. Trust me, we will be talking during the off season. So this ain't the last time we gonna be talking.
No doubt,
But
no doubt, no doubt.
so this is
All right.
just, I'm going into my little off season for a minute, take a break, but get some new things coming. So some new things are definitely coming, some new looks. Be on the lookout. I'm excited about it. I want y'all to be excited too.
All right, my man. Well, thank you for joining us once again. Thank you for helping me along the way. As I just got started midway through the season, trying to build this brand up and trying to give people a lot of good content. So enjoy the rest of your evening. Good luck on your show on Wednesday. Everybody go over, subscribe to Titans in Truth, hit his subscribe button, try to get him to 1,000, hit mine, try to get me, up there
Get you
for
up
about
there.
500 or so. And we'll continue to build and grow throughout the offseason. So thanks a lot for joining us, and I appreciate it. And you have a good night. But for the rest of the folks in the house, we are still here. We're going to still continue to grind, and we're going to continue to look at this free agent class for the Titans coming up for next season. And again, Jadeveon Clowney, Daquan Jones on that front line, along with Corey Davis. Stephen Gostkowski, will he be back? He had a good second half of the year. He didn't miss a kick, I think, for the last 6 or 7 games. So he was pretty good. Jack Crawford really did not bring a lot from Atlanta. I do not expect to see him back. I do like McCole Pruitt. He was a good, solid tight end for us. Sambrailo, not so much. When he was in the lineup replacing Taylor Lewan, in my opinion, he really didn't do a great job. I believe that Quisenberry actually did a better job than Ty Sambrailo, so I would not expect him to be back next year. Will Compton had his moments, probably won't be returning next year as well. As we look at a couple of other guys that are free agents, these are some of the big ones. Jonnu Smith, Jayon Brown. Those are the big guys that we have to be concerned about if they're going to be back next year. Jayon Brown is going to be a huge decision because for the second year in a row, he ends the season on the injured list. Jonnu Smith really didn't have a good second part of the season. A lot of games with only 1 or 2 catches. He did have a lot of touchdowns on the season, but it was a down year for Jonnu Smith when you compare to the expectations that we had for him this season. Now, was that more because we were beat up on the offensive line and he had to spend more time blocking as a blocker? Or was that because of injuries? He did have some ankle injuries throughout the season that limited his production. So it'll be interesting to see if they bring Jonnu Smith back as well. It's going to have to be a lot of calculations by John Robinson, by Mike Vrabel, and by that staff to depend on who they want to come back. And Vrabel talked about in his press conference today that it's a 3-way process of guys coming back to the team. 1, the guys have to want to be here. 2, we have to want them back. And then 3, we have to come to a financial arrangement that's good for the player and that's good for the team. So I'm interested in you guys' comments. If you have some comments on who you think we can bring back, who do you want to bring back, who are you comfortable letting go? I really do not want to see Corey Davis go. I think Corey Davis is an integral part of this football team. Jonnu Smith, Ian says it's 50-50 on Jonnu. I think it's 50-50 on Jonnu as well. It depends on what type of money he commands. Obviously, with the season that he had, he's not going to get top tight end money. He's going to have another good season before that happens. But can he demand $6, $7, $8 million a year? He may be able to get that on the free agent market. Maybe he wants to go to a team where he's more of a feature receiver instead of a blocking tight end. You see that a lot in free agency. So this is his second contract, and he's going to try to get as much money as he can for it. Right price, you would bring Jonnu back, but Fursker can do the job. Fursker's very underrated, very good guy to have on the team. Obviously, I think the Titans still have option on him to bring him back. So I expect him to be back in the fold next year. He's one of Tannehill's favorite targets. Appreciate it, Trilogy. Love the content. Appreciate that. Ian said that he would like to have Clowney back. I like to have Clowney back too if he's healthy. Problem with Clowney is that he tends not to play 16 games. He's just a very fragile guy that plays a very physical position. And typically those two things do not go together. So we'll see what what the future holds for the Titans and their free agents, and what it holds for this football team. It's unfortunate that we're talking about this already. Um, Nobody expected this in round one of the playoffs, that we would already be talking about the Titans and the off season. But that's what it's come to for the Tennessee Titans this year. So unfortunately, again, the Titans come up short this weekend. They lose the ball game. That's going to be it for our show for tonight. Um, we will have some more shows coming up throughout the playoffs. We will be talking about teams as they advance throughout the playoffs. And we'll also be having probably a Super Bowl show within the next couple of weeks to talk about what happened. But again, for those of you that may have chimed in late, we talked about the Corey Davis situation. He was injured at the end of the ball game yesterday. That's the reason why he was not on the field. We talked about the 4th-and-2 decision making of Mike Vrabel not to go for it on 4th-and-2, and how it really cost this team an opportunity to pull out this game at the end. And then, of course, Khalif Raymond slips down on that final pass from Tannehill when it looked like he had A.J. Brown open on the other side of the field for a potential long pass play. But nevertheless, it did not happen. Before we go, I want to give a huge thank you, not only to the Tennessee Titans, but to the entire NFL, and to all of you guys for joining me on my channel throughout the season. The NFL completed 256 games in the middle of a pandemic. In August, September, we did not know if we were going to have football. I was so very thankful for everyone in the NFL that sacrificed to help make this season a possibility, to help the Tennessee Titans to help make this season a possibility, to make it possible for at least some fans in various stadiums, including Nashville, to be able to attend football games this season. It was not an easy task, but it gave us 4 months of diversion away from what's going on in the rest of the world. I'm going to miss it for the next 7 months. I will enjoy the final 2 to 3 weeks of NFL playoff action, but I will miss not having my Tennessee Titans to root for, as I'm sure you guys will as well. But I want to thank everybody that came in. Thank everybody that contributed to the show. Titan Upload, Mr. Titan, Titans in Truth, Tennessee Weekly, the Two-Tone Zone. All of you guys, a big thank you for helping me get started with my channel, and a big thank you for the Tennessee Titans on the division championship. A strong effort on Sunday to try to advance in the playoffs, but unfortunately, they came up a little bit short. So if you guys have not yet subscribed to the channel, please hit that like button. Please hit the subscribe button on your way out. And please hit that notification bell so you'll find out what content we'll have going on throughout the off season. I will be having shows if you're NBA fans. I'll be talking about the Rockets. I'll be talking some Texas Longhorn and Houston Cougar college basketball. So we'll have a lot of other sports to talk about throughout the season. So hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button so you'll know when everything is coming to you. So once again, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Ian, Titans in Truth, thank all you guys for all the information, for joining the show. We appreciate you guys for joining, for sticking with us and supporting me this season. So for now, I'm going to say adios. We will see you guys later in 2021. And always remember, tighten up.